Guys, on one hand, I can't believe that I'm having to make another one of these, but on the other hand, it makes total sense, and I actually told you that it was fairly likely after the first one. Let's talk about the second Trump assassination attempt by an on-scene shooter. In the wake of the first Trump assassination attempt earlier this summer, after Democrats acted like they were surprised and feigned nobility, all the while still maintaining that Trump was the greatest threat to democracy, Hitlerian, things like this. Even days after this second attempt, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, has said those very words, that he is still a threat to democracy. And when she was challenged on it, she refused to acknowledge that she might be wrong and perhaps she should tone down her rhetoric. Rather, she tried to make the question itself sound dangerous. But that's not what we're all here to hear about today. There was another shooter trying to kill Donald Trump only 2 months after the first one. This is historic in American history, and this one also seems to have been radicalized by left-wing leaders and our mainstream media. The headline you keep hearing, which is the one they want you to focus on and push, is true in that this man was a former Trump supporter. However, that was almost 10 years ago, back in the 2015-2016 election cycle, and since then he has grown to hate Trump. He wrote a book in which he praises Biden and Harris. He calls on Iran to kill Donald Trump. He allegedly had contact with the office of Adam Kinzinger, a Biden supporter, a DNC speaker, and another individual who masquerades as a Republican but is clearly not, judging simply by his actions. This is someone who had a documented and known history to law enforcement of recruiting Afghans to go fight in Ukraine, who tried to go and fight for Ukraine himself, and who actively participated in supporting Ukraine by going over there just a short while ago. This is someone who, like our previous assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks, donated repeatedly to Democrat fundraising site Act Blue. Only this individual donated well over 15 times. Now let's get into the egregiously bad, almost intentional seeming security failures from the day of, which again seems to be a story on repeat with Donald Trump in the crosshairs. This individual was a felon known to the FBI and State Department for his recruitment of Afghans, his attempted involvement in Ukraine, and other things. He was a lobbyist on Capitol Hill. He's someone who had a WMD charge for an illegally owned machine gun. The weapon that he used to attempt to kill Donald Trump with was an illegally owned gun with a filed-off serial number. And yet somehow he managed to get these weapons and to not be in prison and to travel to and from Ukraine and to actively recruit foreign nationals for international warfare and to not be detained by the FBI, State Department, or local authorities. And after all of that, he managed to get within shooting range on a Donald Trump golf course. Now, of course, he just ran there and was quickly there, having bypassed security in an extremely fast and unstoppable fashion, right? Wrong. That's not what happened. He sat there, phone records say, for about 12 hours. Now, to your average citizen, that might sound like something that could be forgiven. Maybe he got in position, right? He hid really well, and he just wasn't seen. But look, guys, I've been in the military. My family's in law enforcement. I've done perimeter and security sweeps. Just like the last one with Thomas Matthew Crooks, this is an insane failure of security. You had a gunman who wasn't particularly well hidden, sitting there for 12 hours waiting for arguably the most hated man, at least on the left-wing side, in all of America, to approach him within rifle range. You had no security sweeps that found him, no aerial or drone surveillance, which people can get off of eBay at a civilian rate for $599, which the Secret Service and military personnel certainly should have. And then, to top it all off, as Trump got in range, he was finally seen because, like I said, he wasn't that well hidden. A simple sweep would have flushed him out or located him. And to put a cherry on top of the incompetence and or corrupt Sunday, Secret Service fired reportedly 4 to 6 shots. Some people say as much as 8. Let's go on the low end and say 4. All of them missed. This man fled, left his gear behind, and was only caught because a witness called him in fleeing the site. He got away. A witness is the reason that he was found. Lastly, a quick update on would-be assassin number 1, Thomas Matthew Crooks. We were, of course, all told he was a registered Republican, and this is an indictment on the idea that the left would ever do this. Of course, the points that were always left out is that Democrats frequently register as Republicans to try to throw off local elections, and Thomas Matthew Crooks, behind closed doors, was actively donating to Democrats. Now it has come out quietly and quickly swept under the rug, of course, per the owner of the social media company Gab that hosted Thomas Matthew Crooks' social media accounts, that he posted pro-left wing content. This is no surprise to any of us, but it's worth getting on the record. Guys, I don't really know what more to say about this stuff anymore. I hope that these citations and resources help you, but I think the messaging here and the reality of what's going on is crystal clear for anyone who has eyes to see. Let's keep our nation, our leadership, our elections in prayer. Hope this helps. Have a good one.